Hi everyone, welcome to the Alibaba Cloud webinar series. My name is Yuhan Liu. I am a public policy analyst here at Alibaba Cloud. Thank you all for joining us today for a session on China Cybersecurity Law compliance. A couple of things before we get started. We will have a live Q&A session after my presentation. Please feel free to send your questions on the text box on the page during the webinar. Also, the recording will be available on the Alibaba Cloud website after the webinar is complete. Okay, so let's get started. My presentation today is divided into two parts. First, we'll talk about some of the key regulatory risks for global companies in China under the new China Cybersecurity Law. Second, I would like to walk you guys through Alibaba Cloud's compliance solutions that can help you stay compliant with the cybersecurity law. So as you can see, as some of you probably know, the China Cybersecurity Law came into effect on June 1st, 2017. But as you can see, the drafting process and the forming of China's cybersecurity landscape has actually started earlier. There have been supporting laws and regulations governing the cybersecurity space before, but the cybersecurity law marks the beginning of a new chapter in the sense that it established a rather comprehensive legal framework for cybersecurity affairs. So, it came into effect on June 1st, 2017, and has been in effect for almost half a year. So today, we want to help address some of these frequently asked questions we get from our clients, especially global clients related to compliance with cybersecurity law, including setting up a local branch under the cybersecurity law, what is the licenses and requirements for doing business in China, and that includes ICP filing, ICP licensing. There are also questions regarding PI, personal information protection, network security requirements, content violations on your platform, and last but not least, cross-border data transfer. What are the activities that's considered legal and what are those that's not? There are also some other general questions, including the fines and penalties under cybersecurity law. Is there a grace period while my company works on getting compliant with the law? Is there actually risk of us being punished or fined during the process? What is the cost and timeline for becoming compliant with cybersecurity law? And there are other questions surrounding data security. So we have helped categorize some of the key regulatory risks for global companies. Now, this is not an exhaustive companies under cybersecurity law, but we think these are the ones that are most relevant for our global clients. There are some regulations that are more specific or more urgent for domestic companies, but these are the ones that we believe our global, the global companies should start investigating or looking into. And they're specifically, they are network security risks. That includes managing vulnerabilities in your system, preventing computer viruses and cyber attacks, storing network logs for at least 6 months, and having the right emergency response mechanism and management and training, personnel training. Secondly, it is the content security risks. That is to recognize and prevent the transmission of prohibited texts, images, video, with specific government requirements when it comes to content. Thirdly, it is personal information protection. First and foremost, under cybersecurity law, it requires that all network operators, before offering services to users, you need to identify who they are and make sure that their identity is verified. There are also other requirements for data encryption and protecting your data from leakage or hacking throughout the entire life cycle of data, including collection, transfer, usage, storage, and deletion. Last but not least is the cross-border data transfer risks. Under this category, the Chinese government require that any personal information or important data collected in mainland China by network operators needs to be stored in China. That is not to say that it cannot be transferred overseas, but companies do need to conduct risk self-assessment, and under certain conditions, they also face assessment and inspections by the authorities. So next, let's briefly talk about the fines and penalties under cybersecurity law. I have listed several articles that address fines and penalties for specific responsibilities that need to be fulfilled by the network operators. For example, if you fail to perform network security protection duties, the fine could be between RMB 10,000 to 50,000. And for example, if you fail to require the truthful identity of users, you provided service without verifying their identity, the fines could be between 50,000 to 500,000. And a temporary suspension of operation and closing of website or cancellation of business licenses is also possible. So from a business perspective, of course, fines and penalties are very serious, but I think the biggest impact it could have on your business is the suspension of your website, even just for a day. So here is an overview of the fines and penalties. As I said, cybersecurity law has been in effect for over 6 months, and there have been several cases of violations. In fact, over 20 cases of violations that's already been identified. And several key features, key characteristics of these cases are that the inspections are usually conducted on both the central and local level. That is to say that there are a lot of authorities that are involved in the inspections. It's really a national activity. Also, the penalties are increasing. We do see that cases that have been identified initially usually face less severe punishment compared to the later ones. And also, we think it is a relatively high PR risk period of time because there are a lot of stakeholders who are watching and observing, trying to understand what exactly are the limits. So it is really a period of time with higher reputation risks for global companies. Next, I would like to quickly mention that I think on a global level, with GDPR coming into effect soon in Europe, there are global companies, when they operate in international markets, are facing more and more pressure when it comes to compliance, and a lot of companies are choosing to invest in compliance and really understand the laws and regulations in the markets that they operate in. So let's move on to the second part of my presentation today, that is Alibaba Cloud's cybersecurity compliance solutions that can help you address specific needs under the cybersecurity law. And we have divided our solutions into 5 categories. The first one is business licensing requirements for any companies that are looking to enter the Chinese market or those that are already in the market but want to make sure that they have the right licenses in order to minimize the regulatory risks. And then the next 4 categories are based on the 4 key risks that we identified earlier, including network security risks, content security, personal information protection, and data cross-border risk management. Under each of these 5 categories, we have either products or services that we can offer to help our clients stay compliant. Before I go into the specific of each category, I'd like to highlight some of Alibaba Cloud's advantages in providing these services. First of all, we have a comprehensive family of product and services related to security and compliance. So, and we have cloud architects as well as public policy team, compliance team that can help you find the right products and solutions that suits your specific needs. Secondly, we have an in-house public policy team that is staying up to date and participating in a lot of the drafting and revising of regulations and industry standards. So we are very informed of the most up-to-date laws and regulations, and we also have collaborations with key policymakers and industry experts to consult and help us understand the process of laws making and implementation. Thirdly, we consider ourselves a one-stop end-to-end compliance shop. That is, we offer not just the technologies, but consulting services and expert that can help you with the entire compliance process. Last but not least, Alibaba Cloud itself is the largest cloud service provider in China. And we ourselves face a lot of regulations, obligations. And while we conducted a self-assessment and carried out some changes to become more compliant, we have some of these experiences and know-hows that we think we can share with our clients to help them also understand the Chinese market better and minimize regulatory risks. And why now? The cybersecurity law has been in effect for 6 months. A lot of the framework is already set up, but a lot of the specific standards and regulations under the framework are still in the drafting and finalizing process. And we expect a lot of them to come out in early 2018. So right now is the time to really invest and start looking into compliance issues within your company so that when these regulations come out, when there are more specific standards that authorities can abide by when it comes to inspections and assessment, your company would be prepared. So next, let's jump into the specific categories under our solutions family. First and foremost, business licensing in China. And that for internet content provider usually includes ICP filing and ICP licenses. So for ICP filing, all companies, all websites, all companies that want to host a website in China, whether it is for only marketing services or for commercial services, whether you're having transactions conducted on that website, you need to apply for all companies, and we have at Alibaba Cloud here a ICP filing team that can help you, that can assist you with the process and really streamline this whole process for you. For ICP licenses, it is a little more trickier. It takes a little bit longer and depends on the type of business that you have and the type of products and services you have on your platform. You need to apply for different ones. For example, on the right side for B20, that is online data processing. This is what we usually, this is also known as the EDI license that is usually required for e-commerce websites. So if you're an airline company that provides booking services, or if you are a platform that allow people to book hotels, trips, or you're a platform like Taobao that provides e-commerce services, whether it is your own products or third-party vendors, you need to apply for B21 in order to be legal in China. If you're a news agency, if you provide internet content at a price, then you need to apply for B25, that is Information Services License. And there are certain requirements and prerequisites for companies to be eligible for applying for ICP, which includes being registered in China and having your IDC domain in China. And also there are specific requirements by your local authority, communication authorities. At Alibaba Cloud, we have partnered agencies to help you streamline this process and help you identify a strategy that best suits your need and help you with preparing documents and accelerating the whole application process. Secondly, for network security risk management, that is mostly some of the key obligations are actually outlined in Article 21 of China Cybersecurity Law, and these are the basic obligations for network operators, including managing your internal security system, implement network security protection responsibility, preventing viruses, network attacks, and any outside intrusions. It also requires you to store network logs for at least 6 months. Also, classify, backup, and encrypt the data that is important to you. So here at Alibaba Cloud, we have a relatively comprehensive product, family product that can help protect the data center as well as our end users. We ensure the security and privacy of data through this list of very comprehensive security capabilities. And it provides protection to our users on different levels, including network, host, application, data, business, as well as identity authentication and access. Here at Alibaba, we also adhere to a lot of domestic and international information security standards, as well as industry compliant, and can provide a lot of resources for our clients. For example, the Chinese MLPS, multi-level protection system, which is the most relevant in China, Alibaba Cloud has obtained level 3 for our public cloud and level 4 for finance cloud, which is actually the earliest and highest among all Chinese cloud service providers. Alibaba Cloud is also constantly improving the management and security of our information technology system. This includes undergoing regular third-party evaluations and reviews from numerous certification authority agencies. Next, I'd like to talk about content security solutions that we provide here at Alibaba Cloud. Under Article 47 of China Cybersecurity Law, network operators need to strengthen the management of information published by users. And they need to immediately stop the transmission of information that is considered prohibited by the Chinese government and prevent information from spreading, and report it to relevant departments when situations like this occur. Now, it is relatively hard for global companies who are new to the Chinese market to understand what type of information is considered prohibited or risky or sensitive in the Chinese context. It can be either related to politics, to pornography, or violence. There are different standards that is relatively understand. So here at Alibaba Cloud, we have a dedicated content security team that have a record and a database of all the information, including image, text, videos, audios, graphs that are considered prohibited by the Chinese government. And we have the right technologies to help you either compare the information on your website to the database of information or help you manage and monitor your platform. And we are constantly updating this database and our technologies to make sure that our clients are minimizing the risks when it comes to content safety. Number 4, for personal information protection solutions, that is outlined, part of it is outlined under Article 24, 41, 42 of China Cybersecurity Law. Under Article 24, it is the real identity verification requirement. Under Article 41, it requires that network operators abide by the principle of legality, propriety, and necessity, and explicitly stating the purpose, means, and scope when it comes to data collection and usage, and also obtaining the consent of the data subject. Under Article 42, network operators need to prevent the leakage or the leakage of your user being destroyed or lost, and also reporting to regulating authorities when situations like this occur. Again, at Alibaba Cloud and also Alibaba Group, we have developed a biological facial recognition and big data risk management model to not only help you collect the information of your users, but also to help you verify this information through facial recognition so that you can authenticate the information that you receive from your users and therefore fulfill the obligations required under cybersecurity law. For data encryption, we have SSL encryption services provided to our end users to make sure that throughout the life cycle of your data, when you're collecting, storing, using, transferring, the data is protected. As for anti-hacking, as you can see, we have also here a combination of different products that can address specific needs on the right side, including zero-day mitigation, data leakage prevention, for finding vulnerabilities in your system. We have the bug bounty program, which has some of the best white hats in China to help you find vulnerabilities in your system. For managing incidents and for have a 24/7 services when you have emergencies, we have a managed security services. The situation awareness product help you have an overview of the risks in your network as well as your assets. As for server guard, it helps manage the vulnerabilities in your assets. Last but not least, I would like to spend a little time and talk about the data cross-border transfer risk management. Under Article 37, China Cybersecurity Law, it requires that personal information and other important information gathered and produced by CII, Critical Information Infrastructure Operators, during the operation within mainland China, it shall be stored within mainland China. And if due to business requirements, it's truly necessary to transfer, you need to conduct a security assessment. Now, under the China Cybersecurity Law, the definition of data cross-border transfer means that if the data collection is conducted within mainland China on mainland citizens, it falls under the category of data cross-border transfer. There are several scenarios for global companies that could incur data cross-border transfer risks. For example, when you're transferring when you're transferring client information collected in China to your overseas headquarters, or you're transferring your Chinese employees' personal information to headquarters. If your client actually use your platform to transfer data overseas using your platform, or if you're transferring information collected in China to a third-party consulting, auditing agency, or your contractors. For all these scenarios are commonplace for global companies that has market all over the world, and this is where some of the regulatory risks can incur for your company. So right now, under the data cross-border transfer risk management standards, under the China Cybersecurity Law, it outlines a two-tiered assessment system. That is, you first assess the legality and the legitimacy of the data transfer, proving that it is really due to business needs and it doesn't violate any laws and regulations in China. Next, move on to risk management, that is to assess if the risks is manageable once the data is transferred. And if both requirements are fulfilled, then the data can be transferred overseas. But this whole process adds a lot of obligations to global companies because some of the standards, some of the specific indicators under these standards are still relatively vague. For example, how can you decide whether the risks is manageable and what exactly are the criterias? Where are the responsibility boundaries when it comes to your client using your platform to transfer data overseas? Some industry experts, as well as our public policy team here at Alibaba Cloud, and we came out with data cross-border risk management consulting services to help companies conduct an overall risk assessments and break down some of these criteria and standards and really put them into questions that you can understand. And we have also developed models and samples for self-assessment so that you can, after you conduct an overview, a review of the risks, you'll have a written record showing that you have assessed the risk involved in the data cross-border activities, therefore minimizing the risk when it really comes to authorities' inspections or questioning. And the consulting services methodology is outlined in the graph here. So first, we conduct a compliance survey, asking you questions, conducting interviews, and understanding some of the key indicators under cybersecurity law and data cross-border transfer. And then we conduct a gap assessment, providing you with a list of gaps that you still have when it comes to fully compliant with cybersecurity law, and helping you prioritize which ones are the ones that is worth investing and changing right now. And then we help you develop a compliance strategy that is to help you allocate resources and identify what are some of the changes you need to implement. And then we'll help you really design the strategy and plan to change and implement these strategies. Last but not least, we have partnered with certified agencies to help you test the result of your compliance, making sure that all the efforts and all the investment you made into compliance is actually worth it, and so that you understand, so that you really have minimized the regulatory risks. So this is again an overview of the cybersecurity compliance solutions we offer here at Alibaba Cloud, and all of these solutions are very closely related to specific articles under the cybersecurity law, and we hope that our tools and resources can help you better understand the requirements under Chinese regulations, and we hope Alibaba Cloud can be a partner in terms of not only providing the right technologies to our clients, but also providing resources when it comes to compliance. So thank you very much for joining us today. I hope today's webinar was helpful. The recording of the webinar will be available on our website later on. And now we're ready to answer some of your questions. Okay, so the first question is, are there changes to the cybersecurity law plan for 2018? So In terms of the framework of China's cybersecurity law, it's not going to change. It's published in 2000, the official version came out in 2017, June 1st, and it will remain. But however, a lot, like I said, a lot of the subcategories under cybersecurity law are still relatively vague or lack details. That is because a lot of these subjects are actually broken down into industry standards that is still in the drafting process. So we do expect several regulations to come out, one on personal information protection, one on data cross-border transfer. I think they would come out before June 2018, and in those regulations, they will have more detailed description on how exactly you're supposed to protect PI and how exactly is measured. So I think that is to say there will be additions, there will be more details coming out, but there won't be any changes to the law itself. The second question is, does the law apply to Hong Kong and Macau? So under the cybersecurity law, when it comes to personal information protection and data cross-border transfer, specifically the texts in cybersecurity law mentions mainland China. So most of these laws and most of these requirements apply only to mainland China. That being said, it also regulates, if you're a Chinese citizen, even if you live in Hong Kong or mainland or Macau, you still need to abide by cybersecurity law. So it is both geographical and demographic. Content security, another question is content security, prohibited text and images recognition are services that customers can pay to use or they're free. So we have here a API-based tool that our customers can purchase, but from my understanding, it is a need-basis tool. So it calculates by how much it helps you identify prohibited information on your website and platform, and then you pay according to how much services you've used. So I think that is one way of calculating the price. But yeah, it is a fee-based service. Another question we got is data cross-border. If I run an e-commerce website on Alibaba Cloud that requires customers to sign up and need to transfer these collected customer data to headquarters, am I bounded by the China Cybersecurity Law? So the question would be yes. For e-commerce websites, for basically any for-profit website that collect user information, and especially if their ID numbers are involved, you need to abide by cybersecurity law. And if you're using Alibaba Cloud in mainland, then when it comes to storage, I think you're already compliant because these information are stored in mainland China. And then you just need to conduct a self-assessment before transferring that data to your headquarters overseas. Next question is there any fee associated with using these compliance solutions from Alibaba Cloud? I can see how much I allocate database, but not sure how much are these compliance solutions. So on the screen, we have a family of products. Some of them are product-based, and some of them are service-based. For our product-based, for products, we have specific pricing for these products. Some of these products, for example, for virus and cyber attacks, or preventing DDoS attacks, we do provide basic versions that you can try out, or free trials for you to test out. So some of these network security products provide trials. For data cross-border risk management products, these more service-based ones, they are fee-based, and we calculate them by the time. It is more like the consulting type of pricing, that is, you calculate the working days of our industry experts and public policy analysts. Are these security services available for Alibaba Cloud International Portal or only on Alibaba China Portal? This is actually a very good question. So for most of the security products that you can find on Alibaba Cloud's international website, they should be available for all of our clients, including the ones overseas. For the more service-based ones, for example, consulting and compliance, these are open for all of our Alibaba Cloud clients, whether you're overseas or domestic. If I run an e-commerce site outside China but need to gather China citizens' information, do I still need to obey China Cybersecurity Law, even the data will be stored outside China? So if you're running an e-commerce site out of China but you have Chinese customers that are visiting, technically it doesn't fall under the category of China Cybersecurity Law. But a lot of the questions we get from our global clients who are doing the same thing you're doing is that because of the firewall, because of the specifics in the Chinese context, the user experience is usually not very good. That is the speed of your website loading, or the access to your website is not fast or consistent. That is why a lot of our clients are actually looking to migrate to our Hong Kong servers or mainland servers. That being said, right now, if you're operating outside of China, it doesn't fall under the category of China Cybersecurity Law. If you do gather Chinese citizens' sensitive information and important data outlined in the Cybersecurity Law, then you could be held accountable for protecting these data and preventing them from leakage. Okay, who do I submit our self-assessment on data cross-border transfer to? So for data, from my understanding, the self-assessment on data cross-border transfer is really a record, a written record that you keep for yourself, so that you have the right materials to show when government authorities come to you and ask questions. That is if the amount of data you collected does not exceed a certain limit. If you exceed a certain limit, then government authorities could actually come and require an inspection themselves. And these inspections are usually conducted, like I said before, both on the central level and local level. So it could be your local communication administration, that is, the clients that you're serving. Or it could be the Office of Cybersecurity Affairs that contact you and ask for these information. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. Thank you for your time. You can find the recording of this webinar on Alibaba Cloud in the coming days. Once again, thank you very much for joining. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the Alibaba Cloud team. Enjoy your day, and thank you.